Well, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just wanted to do this little live event, um, you know, to kind of mark this moment of disclosure history. I think something really amazing is going on here. And I'm getting a lot of different reactions from people about, is this for real? Friends who I've known for a long time are texting me, why are they covering UFOs? Well, hello, this has been a big underground topic. It's been like a separate piece of US history for a long time. A lot of other countries have talked about this. You know that. At the citizen hearing for disclosure in 2013, there were representatives from at least must have been 10 other countries who were talking about this openly. I mean, the folks from Latin America, the military, were there at the citizen hearing. And they said, we just hold public meetings about this and tell the public we don't know what this is, but it's real and it's not from the earth. And they show them the gun camera footage, just the stuff that we've seen over the past couple days. The Latin American countries have been doing it. Brazil had this huge UFO investigation called Operation Plato, because people were being injured and killed in the Brazilian rainforest from these little objects that were floating around and zapping them with rays of light. And the military went out there and photographed these objects and everything. They weren't able to catch them or anything, but they determined it was real. They told people it was real. And we don't know what that was, but it's pretty darn strange. We had the Cometa report, Sigma group in France. Even in the UK, they released Project Condign, which, Condign, it was the Ministry of Defense did their own study of this and concluded that it was real, but it was ball lightning or aerial plasmas. And that's what people were seeing. And there weren't really triangular craft up there that people were imagining there's a craft. Well, that's almost laughable at this point. You know how many people saw the Hudson Valley UFO, whatever, that triangles, Belgium it was, in the early 90s, 80s, 89 to 93. And in the Hudson Valley, I've spoken to 3 people that saw the Hudson Valley UFO. It was this huge thing, and it could move very quickly when it wanted to move away. People said it just zipped away, just like they saw the Phoenix Lights in 1997. Thousands of people saw on March 13th, 1997, saw objects over Arizona, large triangular objects, maybe a mile across. The governor of the state, Fife Symington, he made fun of it the next day at a press conference, but a number of years later at a disclosure event at the National Press Club in 2010, and in private interviews that are now public, he said he was just afraid people were going to panic, but he had served in the Air National Guard. He knew this wasn't anything that we had. It was huge. He saw it himself. He went out of his house and he saw it over a nearby park. He said it was incredibly big. That isn't anything that we have. And if it was something, we'd know about it by now. He concluded it had to be extraterrestrial just because he knew it was in the Air Force. He's from a family that had, military careers and so forth. So anyway, that story took 3 months to show up in the New York Times, the Phoenix Lights. 3 months. And now we see things happening overnight. I mean, I'm amazed by this headline today in the Independent, a UK paper. U.S. government recovered materials from unidentified flying object it does not recognize. And this is going to Bob Bigelow, the head of Bigelow Aerospace, the billionaire who had hotel chains, Bigelow Tea, and other things. He's had this interest in UFOs. He said he spent more money on it than anyone else, millions of dollars. He operated NIDS. They did all their private research. And he was on 60 Minutes a couple of months ago. He said it's a real phenomena, and that we should stop having this juvenile taboo in the United States from talking about it. Scientists are scared. That whole fear level is what led me to write this book, Black Swan Ghosts. I started encountering so many witnesses to this phenomena who, some of them, it took about a year to let them put their stories in this book for you after changing their names. They were so afraid of what could happen to them. They were told never to talk about some of these events. Children of Air Force officials and so forth who were privy to information that most of us never hear about, and other witnesses. And there is a witness in this book, Phil, who talks about seeing this unidentifiable material, this isotopic ratios that don't come from Earth. The technology is too sophisticated. I've encountered witnesses like this who don't want me to repeat their stories, but I've known this has been true for quite a while. And I'm glad this information is coming out, because it's really about time. You know, just at a personal level, I've encountered so many witnesses. It all started with going to, you know, Dr. Courtney Brown's Farsight Institute back in 1996 when I took my first remote viewing class. Started all of this, and I found it really worked. I couldn't explain it, but I was drawing pictures of the targets that I didn't see. The targets were way back there in folders. We were in our cubicles, just like the military had done it, and there we were asked to describe the target, and sometimes it was you just nailed it and you didn't know how you did it. It was the most surprising thing ever, that there's underground channel of information that our minds have access to if you have some training how to listen to that signal. And, you know, I put up a lot of videos on this channel, which, you know, you've enjoyed and written to me about, and I appreciate your feedback. Well, that's where it started for me. I started meeting these witnesses from NASA. People said they saw stuff, guys that worked in the video and the photos, who said they had seen structures on the moon, just like that civilian astronaut, Dr. Ken Johnson, who wrote that book, Ken's Moon, and he had all of the photos from NASA because he worked with the rocks, and he had the complete collection of photos, and people have analyzed it and seen, he's analyzed it. You see these structures on there. He presented it at NASA events, and he said these folks in the room knew about these structures. Now, we don't know whose bases these were. Maybe it was ours, but it's definitely clear that NASA wasn't telling us the truth. We had Dr. Richard Hoover. I made a video about talking with him at the Open Minds UFO conference a couple of years ago. I mean, an astrobiologist that said he found fossils in carbonaceous meteorites all over Earth, fossils of previously living extraterrestrial organisms, cellular organisms, diatoms, and things like this. And NASA didn't want him to talk about it. They didn't want him to publish. They didn't want him to go to conferences about it. He quit over this. So, you know, we've had a lot of these people who've wanted to tell the truth for a long time. I somehow just kept meeting them. It wasn't like I was really looking for it, but I guess, you know, I went to some of these conferences, and you meet very credible people who have degrees, publish lots of papers, and they tell you their stories. And it is really, I find it disheartening that these brilliant researchers can't talk about this openly, that they're afraid of repercussions from somebody for opening up about this topic. So I know some of you are suspicious about what's going on. I'm getting a lot of comments from people, this could be a false flag. I know Dr. Stephen Greer believes it is. He's warned us about this for a long time. And maybe it is. I don't know. But all I know is we can spin it into a positive direction, because at least people are starting to talk about it. And I feel better already that this is not so shut in the closet. You know, this is not a closet topic that people are afraid to talk about it, because it really destroys lives. Really destroys lives for people who experience this phenomena and not feel okay to talk about it. I mean, I wrote Black Swan Ghost just because I encountered so many of these witnesses. And you can watch the videos for free of my interviews with them on the blackswanghost.com website. I encourage you to look at it. It doesn't cost a thing. Just go over there and watch these people, and you tell me if you think they're credible or not. I found many of them very credible. They never told anyone else, in some cases, but me or a few other people, their stories. They weren't writing books. They weren't doing radio interviews. They had nothing to gain from this. Some of them said, I don't want this coming back to me. I could tell they were telling the truth. You know they're telling the truth too. We don't know what they saw, but they encountered craft. They encountered humanoids leaving these craft. They encountered military responses in some cases. And some of the best stories I couldn't even put in because the people thought the stories were just too sensitive and had, you know, possible repercussions on people that were still involved in these projects and so forth. I mean, there's some wonderful stories. And I'm hoping over the next couple of years we can talk about these as this topic comes out. Okay. So keep writing your comments, and we're going to stay connected this way, and stay in touch, and we will sort this out together. We don't know where this is going, but it's obvious. It looks to me like within the military establishment, within the government, that there's a couple different factions here. Some want this to come out and some don't. But the side that wants it to come out seems to be gaining ground at the moment. And information's been released. I'm told that other countries could be releasing information too. The UK, Australia, New Zealand, you know, our allies here in the US. And who knows who else is going to jump into this. So every day is going to be kind of an adventure now. And I think this is going to be pretty cool. The implications from the material that Bigelow has talked about is that people who've been around this crash material have some effects on their DNA, which we don't know too much about, but that's what they found in this facility in Vegas that Bigelow has been talking about. It's in the New York Times article. It was on CBS today. Ralph Blumenthal mentioned it, one of the authors of the New York Times report. There seem to be possibly telepathic effects of being around this material at these objects. These aerial objects are made from these unknown aerial objects. This is what the Wilbert Smith memo from 1950 that he reported back to the Canadian government. He said that there were some mental connections to the phenomena. Dr. Eric Walker, former president of University of Pennsylvania, talked about ESP. Ben Rich from Lockheed Skunk Works made reference to, telepathic functioning in these crafts. So we're getting somewhere. We realize there's a connection between remote viewing, resonant viewing, as I call it, and these unexplained aerial phenomena. Wherever they're from, we'll find out over the next coming years, I'm sure. But anyway, it's an exciting time. We should have a little toast. We made it this far. We made it to a disclosure event. We're going to spin it into a productive, positive direction that we're all going to learn from. We're going to figure out where we're from, who else is around us, who are these neighbors, what are their intentions, and where do we come from. I can't see anything but positive effects coming from these types of interactions. So I hope you can too. So stay in touch. We'll talk to you soon, and take care for now. Bye.